Hi, my name is Backhaus, and I'm just going to be talking to you guys a little bit about my viewpoint of our conversation with the poet Jabbar Boykin. Um, so essentially, we had a little meeting with Jabbar, and he was sharing his experiences and thoughts with us based from his collection of poems from his novel, Whatever Happened to Black Boys. Um, it's essentially a documentation of these first-hand experiences of racism throughout history, but through poetry. So again, that's sort of the exigence of the whole novel. There was again that racism and those first-hand perspectives of these like people who've experienced it throughout these different periods of history. Obviously, the Kairos happens during the Black Lives Matters climate, which is the current climate. So it's still very relevant to what's actually happening politically today. Um, and Yeah, I think it was actually really interesting talking to him because we got a little bit of insight as to why he actually did poetry. Because I thought that poetry itself would sort of limit the structure of telling these firsthand experiences, but when he started to explain them more, I realized it kind of instead created this unique narrative in constructing his message, which by the end of it, I think actually made it more accessible to actually read these firsthand experiences than just an actual novelization of them. Um, and what I liked about it was he gave himself like a lot of credence, or he gave himself a lot of pathos, or sorry, ethos. Just because as he was talking about his, I guess, reasoning for talking about all these historical events and people, he kind of credited his own family, talking about like his grandfather and how they would treat the grandmothers. Um, it was just nice kind of hearing him talk about how it was affected and inspired by his own family's history, and it gave him just kind of like this credence and, like I said, a sense of ethos into his argument. Um, Again, like just relating his family, the drinking, and something that I actually related to a lot was his connection to his favorite black superhero, which was Static Shock. And when he talked about how he would get up and he would live for just like connecting to that like single kind of like a character through that media, it just reminded me and connected to me back to when I was a kid and I loved Blue Beetle because he was one of the few Latin American superheroes that was like in existence or in print at that time. So I really kind of connected with him when he said that. Um, and honestly, I felt as though he was very successful, not only in the rhetorical elements that he used within his book, but just in connecting with us as a class by ourselves. He spoke to us fairly like as equals. He was very open, and he was very like open with like sharing his reasonings for stuff like that. Um, and honestly, I believe that his text in the end is sort of a sense of activism and social justice, in the sense that it's an act of activism with the simple intent to raise awareness about this social justice issue that he strongly believes in. Um, Overall, I really enjoyed like our conversation with him, with Jabbar. I thought it was really cool to kind of gain that insight as to like his family history, how that just kind of like gave him that credence to have with like his novel and everything like that. But yeah, all right, I'm gonna sign off.